Hi guys, welcome back to another yoga flow, and today's practice is going to be for those who like to lift some weights. So we're going to be working into the shoulders and to the hips, and you may need a strap for one of these exercises, but you could use a towel, you could use a stiff resistance band or a tie or a belt, something of that description. I do have a code if you want to get 10% off your own yoga strap though, so feel free to use that code. Otherwise, just leave that to the top edge of your mat, and we're going to start in a child's pose. So bringing the big toes together at the back of the mat, and take your knees out as wide as you comfortably can. And then just take a little moment to wriggle onto the sitting bones onto the heels, and then come on forward. So dropping the belly down in between the thighs. You might be comfortable here on the forearms, or if you can go a little bit deeper, maybe resting the forehead onto the hands or onto the mat. And just give yourself a moment to ground here. Checking in with how this shape feels in the body today. So you might feel that light stretch through the top of the foot, onto the calves, onto the quads. And maybe for a lot of us, we'll feel it in towards the hips, as well as a nice kind of opening through the lower back. So just give yourself a moment here to close off the eyes and begin to deepen your breath. Breathing in and out of the nose. Stretching out the inhale and lengthening out the exhale. Lovely, calm and considered, mindful breath. And see if we can keep this throughout the practice. So if your breath starts to get short and sharp, we're probably over-efforting and doing too much. So let that breath guide you. Lovely. When you're ready, walking the hands back towards you. And then from here, tucking the toes, bring your knees a little bit narrower, tuck the toes, we're going to stretch out through our feet. So for some of us, this might be quite torturous if you're quite tight through the feet. So you can keep your hands on the earth. Maybe the hands rest here and you have a little bit of a test scenario. But if you can, come up onto the hands onto the thighs so you're resting the full weight into your toes. Relax your shoulders away from your ears and see if you can soften down into the feet. So by warming up the feet, this is going to help with stretches higher up the body. So there is method to this mad pose. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Take a breath in, reach the hands high up overhead. And then as you exhale, cactus out the arms, squeeze the shoulder blades together. See if you can open through the chest, keep energy in the fingers. Chin is lifted. And slightly draw the elbows back. So you feel an opening through the chest. You might feel an opening through the heart space. Maybe a little bit into the bicep. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, turn your palms back. Interlace your fingers behind you now. Now see if you can squeeze your palms together. So for some of us, if you're quite tight in the chest, this might be a little bit challenging. Pull your fist down as if your knuckles were trying to touch the floor. Squeezing the shoulder blades together. So you want a nice strong upper back to open up the front of the chest. So we're kind of lengthening through this portion of our body. Good. And then maybe bringing the fist away from your bum. So you lift it up and away from the body. Now this transfers it a little bit in towards the bicep, a little bit into a different area of the front of the shoulder. How are those feet doing? Good. Keep squeezing the palms together. Lovely. Take a nice big breath in. And then as you exhale, bring those hands out in front, untuck the toes. Woo, give those toes a little bit of a tap out. And then you're going to sit onto the tops of your feet. So you're stretching through the top of the ankle now. Awesome. From here, shift your hips over to the left hand side. So your feet are on the right. Don't worry if it's kind of messy, it's all good. Take a breath in, reach your left hand high. And then as you exhale, leaning over to the right. So you're stretching through your waist. And with the feet in this position, you get a little bit more into the side of the hip, which is kind of where we're going to be kind of aiming for in a sec as well. So take a nice big breath. Good. As you inhale, come all the way back up. Shift your sitting bones over to the right, so your feet to the left. Reach that right hand high, and then take a lean over to the left, so you're leaning into the feet, feeling it through the waist, side of the hip, maybe just a little as well. Good. As you inhale, come all the way up. We're going to come onto our sitting bones and then come on forwards to all fours. Good. Let's start to flow with our breath a little bit. So as you inhale, drop your belly, tip your tailbone up and look up. So we're arching the back. Good. And then as you exhale, reverse it. So rolling out, tailbone down, crown of the head down, look to the toes. Lovely. Inhale, drop the belly, nice slow and considered movement. And as you exhale, round it out. So flow with your breath. So these mindful movements, this movement with breath is the thing that makes it yoga and not just like a bunch of stretches. Good, so we really want to find that mind-muscle connection, which is going to help us with so many things. So not just weightlifting, not just like sport and stuff. It's just going to really help us with our mental health as well, as we just like move through our life, basically. Lovely. Good. And then when you're ready, come to a neutral place with the spine. Good. Extend your left leg out and the toes are on the mat, and take a little rock forwards and back. So you're kind of working into the calf muscle. So now we've worked into the foot, we're working into like the Achilles calf area. Good. You can always use your forearms. If it's too much on your wrist, use your forearms to like press back. Nice. Good. And then take a few moments just to hold a static calf stretch. So leg is really straight, energy through that heel. Neck and shoulders relaxed. Good. So we're going to take a little bit of a funky stretch here. So lifting that left leg, you're going to take it over to the right as far as you can. So you might end up on the floor, you might end up on your mat. Good. And then this is a little bit of an exploration. So we're pushing into this right hip and we're aiming for a spot here. So you might need to like rock forwards and back. And you're just aiming for like a little tight spot, you know, in like the side of the hip. So that's really going to help you, particularly with balance and things. So see if you can just take a little rock forwards and back, pushing into the side of the hip. And if you find a little area of like, oh yeah, that feels like it needs to be loosened off, hold it there, breathe into it. But again, just be mindful that we're not like huffing and puffing and panting. Good. Lovely. And then lifting that left leg all the way back up, bringing the knee back in. Good. Let's do the calf muscle on the right. So extend that right leg out, straighten it up, take a little rock. Remember, you can always use forearms if the wrists are feeling it. Just a little tease into that calf. And then find a few moments of stillness. So straighten out the leg, really push back. Imagine that leg was like getting longer almost. Good. And then when you're ready, lifting it on up, take it all the way over to the left, cross it over as far as you can, pushing your left hip to the left, and then just take a little rock forwards and back. You might need a little side to side. I often find forwards and back is the thing that where you find it. And then if you find an area of interest, hold it there. So often with a lot of stretches, people do them in front of the TV or, you know, doing other things, and they're not really paying attention to what their body is kind of asking for and what it kind of wants. So this is why it's important to find the mind-muscle connection, which is the thing that makes it yoga. Good. So once you find a little area of interest, a little corner of like, oh yeah, I didn't know that muscle existed, hold it there, breathe into it. Good. And then release, bringing that Right leg back up and over, bring that right knee in. Good, take a little swing of the hips from side to side. Ooh, give them a little break. Awesome, so you're gonna keep your hips exactly where they are. We're gonna walk our hands forwards and then drop the chin, dropping the chest down towards the mat. Now, if your head's quite far away, you can always grab a pillow to like rest your forehead onto. And what we're doing is we're melting our heart down towards the earth. So you might feel a stretch through the armpits. And just notice if you kind of grip against it. So relax your hands. And can you imagine just your heart being pulled by gravity? Check in with the breath. Wonderful. And then slowly walking the hands back underneath the shoulders. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, push your shoulder blades into the ceiling. Head drops down. Take a couple of breaths here. Should feel really nice in between the shoulder blades. Good. Inhale to a neutral place with the spine. Spread the fingers nice and wide, tucking the toes, and then lifting the seat back and up. So coming back to the legs now, working a little bit more into our hamstrings. So take a little pedal out of the feet, pressing one heel down at a time. Soft bend in the elbows, just so you feel your biceps and triceps do some work and we're not kind of digging into our shoulders. Keep lifting up through your core, so really zip up through your core. This will alleviate some of the weight from the wrists as well. Wonderful. Nice one. Good. As you inhale, float your right leg high into the sky. And then as you exhale, step your right foot in between your hands. Drop the back knee, untuck the toe, and then come on up to a low lunge. So as you inhale, reach the hands high. And then as you exhale, soften the pelvis down. Now, relax the shoulders away from the ears and see if you can like really find that stretch for your left hip flexor. Now, for some of us, we might need to squeeze our left bum cheek to like intensify that. So just notice if you kind of lose it, if you're kind of digging down into it, you're like, oh, I'm not getting anything. Engage through your left bum cheek and you should feel that nice opening through the hip flexor. Hands can rest onto the thigh, they can come up overhead if you want a bit more of a balancing act. That's totally cool. Breathing here. Wonderful. Let's take a nice big breath in. And then as you exhale, bring the hands to the mat and we're going to straighten up that front leg coming into a half split. So make sure the leg is straight. If you need like a prop here, maybe you can use a footstool to like rest your hands onto, maybe 2 books as a bit of support. But the key is to keep this leg straight. Keep the toes active and lifted. You should feel it all the way down the back of that leg. Jaw is soft, no scrunching up through the face here. Lovely. Take a nice big breath. And then as you exhale, plant the foot, plant the hands. Let's step it back to a downward facing dog. Good, so you might feel a little bit lopsided. We'll balance it up in a sec. As you inhale, come on forwards to a high plank position. Zip up through the belly, take a breath. And then as you exhale, we're going to lower all the way down to the tummy. So elbows brush your ribs as you come on down. Good. Taking the arms out in line with the shoulders, but come onto your fingertips. So we want light pressure in those fingertips. Elbows pointing up. Relax the feet. Inhale. Squeeze shoulder blades together, lift the chest. And as you exhale, drop your right shoulder to the center of the mat and look behind you. Good. Inhale through center. Left shoulder drops. Let's go one more each side. Using the breath. Inhaling. And exhaling. Right shoulder. Inhaling. Left shoulder. Wonderful. Inhaling. And exhale, lowering going down. Nice. Forehead to mat. Hands underneath the shoulders, big toes together. Push back to your child's pose, but keep your knees a little bit narrow this time. So settle sit bones to heels, forehead to mat. And just allow the back to kind of be counterposed after being in a back bend. Good. Inhale, come on forwards, all fours. Exhale, tuck toes, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, float your left leg high into the air. And as you exhale, step it in between the hands. Drop the back knee, untuck the toe, come on up. Inhale, reach the hands high. And then take that time to settle into the hips and find that opening through your right hip flexor. Hands can rest here if you need to have a little bit more of an explore, or hands reach up. And then squeeze your right bum cheek. Notice how that really opens up through the front of that hip. None of these stretches should ever feel painful or injurious. So just be mindful if things start to feel not quite right, like tweak it to whatever you need it to be. Good, take a nice big breath. And then as you exhale, hands to mat, straighten up that front leg. So find a straight leg, that's kind of priority one. And then decide where the hands need to be. Toes are active and lifted. And have this idea that the left leg is drawing back into the hip. So it's like almost like dragging back. And you should feel more of an opening down the back of that leg. Wonderful. Let's take one more breath. And then as you exhale, plant the foot, plant the hand, step it back to a downward facing dog. Good. See if you can get your hips a bit higher now and your heels a bit lower. So finding that nice length through the lower back and that deep stretch down the back of the legs. Good. Inhale, come on forwards to a high plank. And then this time as you exhale, lower all the way down to the tummy. Good. This time take your arms out into a T shape, hands flat on the mat. Bend your right knee. Good. From here, your right big toe is going to reach for your left little finger or just the floor behind you. So maybe it kind of rests here. Now you're opening out through the front of your left shoulder. Your right hand can be used as a little pillow. And if you want more, lean back more. And if it's too much on the shoulder, come more onto the tummy. But check in with the head. No need to hold that head up at all. Just allow your head to kind of drop and fall. Relax down your left fingers as well. It's a big, big shoulder opener. Lovely. Stay with the breath. Good. Inhale, come all the way onto your tummy. Take your right hand out. Now your left knee bends. And then it reaches for the floor behind you. Maybe some of us can grab our hand, maybe not. And then just assess the situation here. So maybe it's a light little rock forwards and back. Left and right in the shoulders really differ because we all obviously have a more dominant side, whether we're left or we're right-handed. So you might just need to err with caution on the tighter side. Breathing through the bicep. Making sure the fingers remain nice and relaxed. Wonderful. Good. On your next in-breath, slowly coming back onto the tummy. Whew. Take a moment there. Good. Bringing your elbows underneath the shoulders. Just in this light back bend, just give your shoulders a little bit of a wriggle, a little bit of a shake out. I find that a lot, so just give yourself a moment to reset here. Good. Bringing the hands underneath the forehead, rest your forehead down, and just take a moment to kind of shake out through the hips now. Nice one. Good. Bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes. Let's push up to a plank. So inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Awesome. From here, begin to walk your feet towards your hands. And when you get to the top, take your feet hip width, bend the knees so you feel your tummy rest onto your thighs, and just take a nice easy rock from side to side. Maybe interlace the fingers, bring them to the back of the head, and just like weight your head down so you give your back a big break, the neck muscles, the jaw. Just allow it to all kind of hang. Good, and then bringing the fingertips down to the mat, soften the knees, grab a hold of your strap, and then we're going to slowly roll up through the spine. Soft knees as you come up, coming up to a standing shape. Awesome, roll those shoulders away from the ears. Good, from here, grab a hold of your strap, and you're going to keep your arms straight. So this is the key here, arms are straight. The wider you go with the strap, the easier it is. As you move in to get narrower, it gets a little bit harder. So start really wide. Start like really wide. Good. Inhale, reaching the strap up and overhead. And then as you exhale, let it drop back behind you without bending the elbows. So if you bend the elbows, go a little bit wider on the strap. Good. Inhale, come up and over. If you found it too easy, bring your hands in narrower. And just flow through this a couple of times. And you'll know there's like almost like a little hump that you need to get over, you know, that little tight spot. I find it kind of there. There's my tight spot. Feel it into the biceps, the pecs. So just fluidly move through a couple of times. And then on your next time when you land on the back, hold it there. Good. As you inhale, come up and then come to that point where you find the hump. You know, that uncomfortable point that you want to get over. Hold it there. Relax through the jaw, breathe. Good. And then as you inhale, come up and over. Good. Give those shoulders a little bit of a roll out. We're going to do the same, but from the way back. So as you inhale, come up and over, then find that hump, find that tight spot. And it's probably going to be a bit higher up. So we're coming at it from a two-pronged attack. Good, so breathe in here, keep those arms straight. And then move over the hump, bringing the arms all the way down. Well done, inhale, bring it up and over. Well done, give those arms a little bit of a roll out. Good, drop the strap. That's a really nice one. I actually have a whole shoulder release practice using that strap, so I'll link it down below if you found that helpful and you want more with the strap. Take your feet a bit wider than hip width, maybe even as wide as your mat. Big toes pointing out. Inhale, reaching those hands high overhead. And then as you exhale, deep squat, come on down. Hands rest at heart center. Push your elbows into your inner thigh or inner knee even. Press those palms together so you're prizing open up those hips. Good, maybe there's a little subtle rock from side to side, side to side. Good, should feel a nice release through your lower back. Well done. Nice one. And then from here, keeping the core nice and strong, reach your hands up and overhead. So imagine you were holding a bar overhead. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, slowly lower your sitting bones down. So this is a little bit about ankle flexion, core control, and then reaching your fingers and toes off the mat. Don't worry if you need to use your hands, it's all right. Lovely, take a breath. And then as you exhale, we're gonna roll down onto our back, hugging the knees in towards the heart. Well done. Bring your left foot onto the mat. And then you're going to cross your right ankle over your left knee. Let that right knee drop out to the right. Good. And then thread your right arm through the legs. You can grab the back of your left thigh or the left shin and hug it on in. Keep that right foot lightly flexed. We're getting into that right hip, right glute area. Lovely, big breath in. Exhale, release. Let's switch it over. So your right foot comes down, left knee in. And then cross the ankle over into like a figure of four shape. Grab the back of your right thigh, or you can grab the shin if you want a little bit more. But your head and shoulders remain nice and relaxed. Let the stretch happen in that lower half. So nice, calm and considered movement. So when we're nice and calm, like our breath is nice and calm, our nervous system is calm, that's when our body will relax and give us that extra bit of space. Lovely. Let's take one more breath on this side. And then as you exhale, release. Hug both knees in towards the chest. Placing one hand onto each knee and just take some circles with the knees into the lower back. So a nice little lower back massage. Good. And then circling the opposite way. And then hands onto the back of the knees. Let's take a little rock and roll to seated. Come to a seated position. Rest your hands onto your knees or onto your thighs. Just close the eyes just for one moment. And just notice how you feel now. Checking in with the body if there was any particular stretches that felt really good. Maybe you could incorporate them into a daily stretch routine. Or maybe it was just the practice of allowing the mind to really be with the body. Bringing the hands together at heart center. Blinking the eyes open. Thank you so much for joining me for this Yoga for Lifters yoga practice. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like more flows like this, please let me know in the comments below. I'll see you tomorrow for another flow. Bye.